Imagine a game where one tiny number change can turn a decent weapon into a monster. Or nerf the gun everyone's been crying about. Is the BP-50 finally being dethroned? We don't usually do this type of video, but for once, we'll cover the patch notes, give some analysis, and if you like this type of video, we'll keep doing it for the next seasons. Before we start, we'll only cover the multiplayer part of the patch. And most importantly, this information is from leaks and is subject to change. So even if we're trying to post this video as late as possible, we can't guarantee that these patch notes will be exactly what we have in the game after the update. For the not so interesting buffs, we've got the AGR 556 reload time buff. It was pretty slow at 1.9 seconds, but we don't have any more information regarding how much it got buffed. Still, it's a nice buff considering it was one of its weaknesses. Next, the MG42 ADS time nerf. They're downgrading it from 350 milliseconds to 380 milliseconds. With the usual build, that means we'll go from 329 milliseconds to 357 milliseconds. It's a little worse, but not a major change at all. Next up, we've got the Type 19 strafe nerf on the Agile stock. They're reducing the strafe speed boost from 30% to 20%. That'll make it go from 3.74 meters per second to about 3.5 meters per second of strafe speed. Not a major nerf at all either, it'll still be efficient. Next up, we got the ASM-10. It received a headshot multiplier buff, upgrading it from 1.2 to 1.5, which means that in the first range, if we're able to land 2 headshots, we can get a 2-shot kill. Not necessarily a major buff, but that makes it equal to the H3K30, EM2, Man-O-War, or AK-47. Now for the more interesting changes, first up, the Hades buff. It received a few changes, so I'll try to make them understandable. The damage profile got reworked, adding a new range at the beginning where damage is now 31 instead of the 29 we had before. But that buff wouldn't mean anything if it weren't for the second one. We got a chest multiplier buff, making it 1.1 instead of 1. This means that if we hit the chest, we'll deal 34.1 damage, so we can technically 3-shot kill if we land 3 out of 3 chest shots, or if we land 1 headshot in that range, no matter where we hit the enemies next. On the other hand, the rapid fire barrel got nerfed. Technically not nerfed, but the chest multiplier buff doesn't apply to it. The rapid fire barrel with the damage buff will deal 33 damage to the body, so a 1.1 chest buff could have made it a bit too strong because it would have been a 3-tap gun in that range. It won't make it that much better, but it's something you'll definitely notice if you're using the Hades already. Next up, we have the Switchblade X9. They revoked the sprint to fire penalty it had on the extended mag, which is nice but not significant at all. But mostly they buffed the range boost of the extended barrel, adding 10% more boost. This means that we gained about 2 meters of effective range, which makes it somewhat decent against other meta SMGs now. Definitely an appreciated buff, even though it wasn't really necessary. Talking about necessity, the HG40 definitely needed a buff, and it got one exactly where it was most needed: the range. The first range stays the same, the second range gets extended by 5 meters, 7.3 with the build, and the third range gets extended by a whole 10 meters, 14.5 with the build. This means that we'll now have not 29, but 36 meters of 4-shot kill, which, by the way, is better than what we have on the Type 19. And then we have not 36 meters of 5-shot kill, but an astonishing 50 meters of 5-shot kill. That's better than the Kilo 141, so to be honest, even if the fire rate is a bit slower than our usual 4-shot kill weapons, the range is so good it's honestly a decent choice now. Next up, we also got a buff that was really needed, and it's on the QXR. They revoked the BSA penalty from the enhanced bolt perk, which makes the bullet spread accuracy go from 26.6 to 23.7 with the build. I don't need to explain how important the BSA is, but especially on the QXR, which had a really bad one compared to the rest of its stats, it's definitely well appreciated. All my sniper mains out there know that the Tundra is way too good compared to other snipers, especially on one point: the flinch. We have ridiculously low flinch compared to the mobility stats in general. Well, that got nerfed. 2. The airborne elastic grip, which is the one that boosts both the ADS time and the flinch resistance, got nerfed. The flinch resistance got lowered from an absurd minus 35% to a more reasonable minus 20%. In practice, that makes our flinch go from a stupid 1.43 to 1.76. Now, that's still incredibly low, but now it's somewhat balanced. Another really needed nerf is on the Odin. The Colossus Suppressor got its range boost lowered from plus 40% to plus 30%, and the Light Stock Strafe boost got lowered from plus 20% to plus 15%. The Light Stock nerf isn't an issue at all since we'll barely notice it, but the range nerf on the Colossus Suppressor is huge. What we'll probably do is change the Colossus suppressor to a monolithic suppressor on the Odin build, since the monolithic has way fewer downsides in general, but that means that we'll have 23 meters of consistent 2-shot kill instead of 25, and 40 meters of potential 2-shot kill instead of 45. In ranked, it's not much of an issue since it's not massively used, but for our competitive players out there who use the Odin, good luck, honestly. And lastly, the one everyone asked for, the BP50 nerf. Don't get your hopes up, as the gun will still remain good but not overpowered unlike what it was until now. First off, the Leroy barrel, which is the barrel that everyone uses, gets a nerf. Minus 15% range and a reduced leg and stomach multiplier by 0.1, making it 0.9 and 1 respectively. What that means is, people will not be able to get a 4-shot kill as easily as before in the first range, and that is great news. What it also means is that the 5-shot kill range, which was 35 meters before, will now come down to 30 meters, which is a lot more balanced. But since our bots need the BP50 to stay alive, what do we have on the other side? The 30-round 7.62 mag, which nobody used before because we could slap a 60-round mag on the BP50, got buffed. How? Well, they added a 15% range boost to the mag, which exactly compensates for the nerf, and they added a 0.1 multiplier boost to the stomach, which exactly compensates for the nerf. And if you're wondering about the leg multiplier, well, it already had a 1.1 multiplier, so now it'll go back to 1. What did we learn from this? Well, the BP50 got turned from a 60-round mag, fast fire rate AR with no recoil, absurd range, and everything to the same thing, but with 30 bullets, making it sort of an HVK 30-ish, I guess. If you want to get the best builds for some of the guns mentioned in this video, you can find the best underrated guns in COD Mobile today here on the left.